Oh, do we have a special week this week? We have a very special guest. Yes, we do. You guys may know her as DocJenfit. This one here, this is a special week. We're gonna be going over hip mobility, low back warm up this week. What else, Doc?
Some external and internal.
External rotation,
Internal rotation.
Flexion. Wait, what do you mean extension? Check it out. Some extension? Little side view? Can you extend?
I am extending.
Are you? Good for you.
Some
You guys are gonna
adduction.
Some adduction?
Abduction. You know, all the things.
We both go down if you AD duck too hard, by the way. A lot of excitement happening right here. Doc Jen, she's gonna be working on her hip flexion. Andrew is working on hip extension. Remember, there's many ways to do this. Be creative, learn your body. Watch what Doc Jen's doing here. She's coming down. When her knee's bent and she stretches, she's gonna focus more right down to this area of the hamstring, but if it goes straight, it comes up to this part of the hamstring. Andrew's coming in. He's looking good. Look at him in a hip flexor stretch. Right? Remember, the hip flexor stretch, you want to keep that pelvis tucked under. It's going to get the quad, hip flexor, iliacus, all the muscles right there. She's coming in now. What's she doing? She's getting both. She goes, you know what? I don't have this much time today. I'm going to get hip extension and flexion all in one because I got a coffee date. Andrew is struggling. I'm done with him. He's fine. He's fine. There you go, hip flexion and extension. Let's get into some synchronized strengthening. Now that you've opened up your hip flexion extension a little bit, it's time to put a little strength at the end range. Dr. Jen is a little more advanced. She's holding her core tight, pelvis in neutral position. Andrew, neutral position. There's not much hip hiking. Everything's neutral. He's working that end range. And from there, Andrew could take it out a little wider and make circles with this. Guys, remember, your joint moves. It flows 360 degrees. There's different angles to play with. You like that move, don't you? All right, now hip extension. Now, this is what most of you guys and girls like doing. You decide to throw your back in a massive extension in a meager effort to strengthen your glute. This is the proper way to do it, right? Now notice, everything's controlled, her core's engaged, her scapulars are on, her chin's tucked, her glutes firing right here. She's putting mind, energy into that glute. It's gonna turn it on, it's gonna turn into a real booty, not an Instagram booty. Here's a secret. Life isn't always forward momentum. Sometimes you have to move and turn around obstacles to get forward, just like your hips have to turn in and out for you to move properly. Check this out. This double exercise, Doc Jen right here, she's focusing on outward rotation of this hip, inward rotation here, and what you do now is throw a little bit of here's the secret, you ready? A little activation at the end. And this side right here, she's gonna activate this. Oh my goodness. Andrew, same thing. Guys, it's a 2-for-1, right? Because you're working the in rotation and the out rotation, which is, that was just graceful, wasn't it? That was just graceful. The purpose of this motion, no matter what you do, if you're squatting, you gotta keep your hips out. If you're turning, baseball, running, changing directions, this is a movement of life, baby. Do you have tight hips? Well, you must learn to strengthen those hips in outward rotation and in inward rotation. Flexibility isn't enough. Start with Doc Jen right here. Check this out. This is an internal rotation lunge where you're gonna take a step, you're gonna turn a foot in, and you're gonna drop down. Now, what she's doing is she's keeping her core braced as well. She drops in and she's turning into that hip. She can also stand up, turn her feet inward, and she could do deadlifts like this. She could do touch her toes like this. She can do all kinds of stuff internally like that, all right? Now, to get into more of a sumo style squat, right, it's gonna help you with your external rotators. Start with your feet together, and now turn your feet out as much as you can, and that'll give you a good starting point with the maximum width that you can use while you perform this correctly. Now, keep your thighs over top of your feet, drop down, keep that core on, shift side to side, open that stuff up. You gotta explore your body, explore yourself. It's the weekend, it's time to open up your groin and open up your hip the other way. Remember, the hip goes out this way as well and it goes in right here. What Doc Jen is doing is she's simulating a squat and also open up her groin. She can play with the angles of her feet. She can put her feet out. She can put them in. She's sinking back, opening up her groin, which is necessary to drive your knees out when you squat. Andrew's focusing on one side at a time. He's keeping a bottle rock. This is a bottle rock. He's keeping his pelvis flat so it's not all hiked up in the air, focusing on shoulder blade and core control. Now, the next exercise, I don't know what it is. Let's watch. All right. Oh, we're opening up right here. We're opening up the hip, okay, into adduction. Check it out. So he's going to drive his hip down towards the ground, and you should feel this opening up all on the side of the hip. Well, Doc Jen, she's in the Easter egg stretch right here. And what this is, she's pulling her hips super tight. She's stretching right here, all the muscles on the outside. These are all great hip warm-up exercises that are going to help you move better. I see what you guys are doing in the gym, and it's no bueno. You're trying to, I don't know what you're doing. What do you think you're doing here? Instead, stack your hips on top of each other. And now what your focus is connecting your brain to these muscles on the outside of the hip. That's the purpose. Now, here's a little secret. If you roll the hips forward slightly and still take it up, you're gonna start working more towards these glute muscles on the back of the hip. The same is whenever you're here and you bring it up slightly, you're gonna get a little more towards the front. But understand the movement by stacking your hips and going straight up. It's gonna get those outer rotators, and also these are the hip abductors. Now, Andrew right here is working the adductors, okay? Adductors. These are these inside muscles right here. You can put this up on something, up on a chair, up on a wall, on a stripper pole, whatever it is, but you're gonna pull this up and you're gonna work these inside muscles right there, and that's gonna help you develop strength completely around the hip, 360 degrees.